Hello everyone, for this video, we step into the world of Alex, where a simple Sunday walk through the nostalgic corridors of Mellow Oaks Plaza becomes a haunting journey into the unknown. In this gripping narrative, the familiar hum of mall music and the soft glow of skylights give way to an unsettling mystery as Alex stumbles into a place that defies reality itself, Oceanside Mall, a landlocked enigma filled with echoes of loss and lurking dangers. From a lucky penny left untouched on her bathroom floor to the chilling presence of a creature with a statue's face, Alex's story weaves together grief, resilience, and the eerie pull of a place that seems to know her deepest fears. Prepare for a tale that blends the comfort of routine with the terror of the surreal, where every step could lead to salvation or something far more sinister. Alex grumbled as she lumbered upright in her bed. Her eyes glanced to the empty space next to her before she stood slowly, heading to the bathroom. Once inside, she checked at her phone, wanting to see the weather that day. Slight overcast, chance of rain in the afternoon. A typical spring day. Alex nodded to herself, planning her day as she finished her morning routine. Moving to the sink, she jumped as her foot kicked into a small, metallic object as it loudly skid and clinked its way across the tiled floor. She spotted the culprit of the noise and smiled. A penny. The same penny that's been on the floor for months now. Whoa, hold on. Alex, she remembered Tom saying when she initially went to pick it up, it's lucky to find a penny. Why not leave it there? It's kind of like a in case of needing emergency luck thing, right? In her current state, she could recount plenty of times where she would want a little more luck. The morning she received the call, the day of the funeral, pretty much every damn day afterwards. But something in her refused to pick up the penny. So, wrapping up her morning routine, she threw on some jogging clothes and left the house, heading for the bus stop. It was Sunday, and Alex had her routines. The closest to peace Alex felt anymore was on her Sunday walks. Something about the mall aesthetic, the soft colors, the music lingering through the air, belted out by some outdated audio system, brought an aura of calm to her being. Sitting by the window on the bus, she wondered how much time she'd have left to do her Sunday walks. The mall barely had any foot traffic as is, besides the elderly. It'd only be a matter of time before the place is bought out and bulldozed, she mused, as the Mellow Oaks Plaza rolled into view, its asphalt moat stretching around the building, waiting for droves of people who will never come. Sunday mornings were particularly quiet, as the regulars were off at church, basically giving Alex the place to herself. Stepping through the front doors, she took a deep breath, taking in the faint scent of perfume, pretzels, and cleaning supplies. Right by the main entrance was a vitamin store, where she marked each lap in her head. Her plan was the same as always. 5 laps, break, 5 laps. Like clockwork, she began to move at a steady pace, focusing on her breathing, clearing her thoughts. Her footsteps echoed off the white tiles, the skylight above illuminating the rows of shuttered stores and empty display cases. She fell into a rhythm, nodding occasionally as she passed someone by. Originally, she hated the mall, but Tom insisted it was a slice of nostalgia, as if time forgot they existed, as he would say. Tears welled in her eyes, missing him now more in this moment than normal. Wiping the tears from her eyes, she paused for a moment. Strange, she thought. I should have passed the vitamin shop by now. Maybe it took a turn I don't usually do. She shook her head at herself. Walking a bit further, she noticed one of the large mall maps in the middle of the hall. She moved close to scan the store names for the vitamin shop. After scanning the full map 3 times, she furrowed her brow. It's not there. It must be an old map, probably too costly to update it with whatever shop manages to buy space for a few months. As she moved away from the map, however, her eyes read something that took her a moment to process, but when she did, she froze. Welcome to Oceanside Mall. Oceanside? What? Did this mall used to be called something else? No, that name doesn't even make sense. We're a landlocked state. Alex tries to rack her brain for a possible explanation. Maybe I'll just find someone to ask directions, she decided as she walked. However, a sense of dread began to fill her. Beyond the closed shutters of empty mall spaces and abandoned kiosks, no one else was there. She stopped walking for a moment to listen in to see if she can hear any far-off speaking or footsteps. The only noise she heard was her own breathing and the faint sound of mall music drifting through the air. She quickened her pace a bit, hopeful to find someone, anyone. Turning the corner, her eyes went wide. Christmas decorations. She squinted to try to better focus from a distance, seeing what looked to be people by the decorations. "Hello." Alex heard herself call out, breaking the eerie silence of the mall. The silence pushed back as the people didn't move. She inched closer, wondering why no one's taken down the decorations by now. She cursed under her breath and laughed to herself upon getting close enough. They were mannequins displaying various winter fashions. She took a seat on an elegant chair, probably designated for a mall Santa, to regain her bearings. Every direction she looked stretched a corridor that turned before she could see the end of it, with no exit signs plain to see. Alex pulled out her phone and noticed she was receiving no bars, as if she was miles into a secluded wood. There were too many weird things going on for Alex to remain calm at this point. Something was wrong. Looking up into the faces of the mannequins only seemed to confirm her feelings of unease. They were all looking in the same direction, the way she just came from. In this moment, two things became clear to her. The gentle mall music was getting louder, and someone or something was making its way down the corridor. A sigh of relief escaped her lips. Finally, someone else. "Don't know how I'll explain to them. I'm lost in a mall," Alex thought to herself in a lightly chiding way. She hopped off the chair and began to walk to the sound. As she walked closer, the music seemed to get louder, yet still retain an ethereal sense of being overhead, floating through the air. Alex froze when she spotted something far down the hall, its loud steps echoing off the tall mall walls. Immediately, it was clear that whatever was slinking down the row of shuttered shops, it wasn't human. Huge, the shape was hunched forward, walking on all fours, its muscle-bound frame taking measured steps down the corridor. Later, Alex would reflect that it looked like a hairless werewolf, sleek, strong muscles in a wiry, long frame. In the moment, however, Alex couldn't process what she was looking at. Something was wrong with its face. Alex ducked behind an empty mall stall, peeking out to get a better look as it approached. Her breath hitched as she was able to see it clearer. From the neck up, the creature had the face of that of a marble bust like Michelangelo's David or Auguste Thinker. The skin was shimmering under the fluorescence, like it was made of polished stone, and not an inch of its face moved. The eyes didn't blink, the mouth didn't move. But it moved its head around as it padded its way closer, as if looking for something. Alex didn't plan on sticking around, quietly making distance from the creature as she could, scampering between objects whenever it turned its head away. At its closest, Alex could confirm that the music that she thought was playing from some unseen overhead speaker emanated from this creature's body, like sweat from a pore. Even when it was a few feet away, the music still felt distant, out of reach, each elevator tune carrying its calm melody as the beast stalked forward. Alex held her breath as the beast paused, lifting its head for a moment to survey the area before plodding forward. Minutes felt like decades, until she felt it was far enough away to begin moving again, deciding it's probably best to try to retrace her steps, going into the direction the beast came from. Upon turning the corner of the corridor she was sure she came from, however, she was met with a new sight that had her blood run cold. It was a car in the middle of the mall atrium, the skylight above echoing with the pitter-patter of rain. But it wasn't a brand new car like you would see in a mall giveaway. It was his car, Tom's car. She recognized it immediately. It looked just like how it did the day she was called out to confirm it was his. The front of the car crunched inward, a bent, cracked windshield hiding the interior of the car from her view. She shuddered, a wave of nausea hitting her violently. She turned away quickly, shutting her eyes tight. She could feel her heart racing. It's not real. I need to keep moving, she thought to herself. Opening her eyes again, she kept her sight straight ahead, leaving the mangled wreck only in her peripheral. Hurriedly, she rushed past the vehicle, stopping only when it sounded like a knock on the vehicle door coming from the inside. By now, she was shaking, her nerves fried out. Every fiber of her being either wanted to rush to the car or run forward and never stop running, but she couldn't figure out which one it was. As she was locked in place from her fearful indecisiveness, she didn't realize the overhead mall music had faded out until a voice took its replacement instead, sounding exactly like a classic radio music jockey coming from the mangled wreck. All right, folks, that was another classic song for you all. Well, everyone, I know you've been waiting for our special giveaway at the top of the hour here. We'll call up one of the lucky winners on our hotline. So if you hear your name called and hear your phone ringing, pick up. You won't miss what we have for you. Our first winner on the line today will be Alex. Let's go ahead and call her now. Alex's phone demolished the silence of the empty mall around her, the ringtone loudly broadcasting her location. She fumbled to silence her phone. Galloping, rushed steps clattered down the hall, growing in intensity and volume with each second. Alex ducked around the side of the mangled wreck, holding her breath, hoping this thing didn't know where she was. The faint music returned, claws scraping the tile as the beast lurched forward into the open space. Alex lifted her head just enough to see the thing searching, hunting for her. Alex calmed herself, noticing the rear-view mirror on the passenger side hung loose by a few wires. Slowly pulling it off, she chucked the broken mirror down one of the mall hallways, buying herself some time when the beast scrambled after the noise. Moving away from the wreck, she didn't spend too much time looking into the vehicle itself. She tried to ignore that it looked like something was in the driver's seat, and worse, it seemed to move. There was nothing in there that she wanted to see. Seeing it once was enough. She already saw it each time she had a nightmare. After the coast was clear, Alex continued down one of the other corridors, hoping to retrace her steps or maybe find something familiar. She kept telling herself that there had to be a way out. The further she moved down the hall, the less recognizable the names of the stores became. Familiar department stores were side by side to stores with weird names: L's Legal Meadery, Shoe Empress, The Visage. Inside were simple, mundane stores, betraying their strange titles. She was busy trying to decipher a sign in an unrecognizable language when she saw something move from the corner of her eye. Alex spun her head around, seeing the top of someone's head behind a store counter. "Hey, who's there?" She quickly grabbed a metal bar from a clothes rack. "Come out." Arms raised in a non-threatening manner, an older woman stepped out from behind the counter, flecks of gray scattered through her short black hair. "Easy, Mississippi, don't hurt me. I didn't know if you were human or not human, like that thing walking around. Have you seen it?" Alex kept her newfound weapon at the ready. The woman nodded. "It's hard not to see it. Some sort of nightmare creature." She eyed the weapon, then Alex. "I'm no threat, Mississippi. Just trying to find a way out of this godforsaken place." Alex visibly relaxed, but only slightly. "How long have you been here for?" The woman shook her head. "My guess, about a day or so. You're the first soul I've seen around here. I don't think most people don't live too long, wherever we are." Alex and the woman both tensed for a brief moment, the slow creep of soft mall music echoing in the halls. The noise faded away, allowing both of them to breathe again. "So no way out then?" Alex finally spoke up when she felt the coast was clear. The woman shrugged, moved out of the store, and motioned for Alex to follow. "Not that I've seen, but I haven't seen the same piece of mall twice, even if I doubled back. Why are we even here? What happened?" Alex kept close to the woman as their steps echoed through the hall. Mannequins in various states and eras of clothing were scattered around them, dynamically posed. Alex kept her eyes on them, looking for any sign of movement. "Look, miss. Alex. Right. Alex. Martha." She motions to herself briefly before continuing her train of thought. "Why on God's green earth do you think I'd have a clue on why we're here? Wherever here even is. One moment mall, the next this place. That's it. I got nothing, no more than you do." Alex nodded, feeling foolish. "Right, sorry." Martha's voice became softer. "It's all right. Two's better than one, right? I'm sure we'll figure this out in no time." For a moment, it sounded like Martha was talking more to herself than to Alex. Alex smiled, though the smile never made it to her worried eyes. "Sure." The hallway opened up to another atrium. Instead of a car ripped straight from Alex's memories, in the middle of the open space sat a hospital room. It was as someone took everything from a hospital room. The furniture, flooring, lighting, get well cards and flowers, and dropped it directly into the middle of them all. There was a curtain surrounding what appeared to be a hospital bed. Behind the curtain, in the bed, the outline of human shape sitting up was clear as day. Alex didn't recognize any of this, but the way Martha's movements stopped suddenly and the sharp gasp that fled her mouth told Alex this scene wasn't made for her. Alex grabbed onto Martha's shoulder and shook her head. "Martha." Martha seemed to relax slightly. "I know, this ain't my first time seeing something in here for me. It's still just a little surprising, you know? It's just like I remember it." There was a pang of sadness in her voice, seeing a piece of her life laid bare. "I hoped I wouldn't see something like this." The two women began to move towards the corridor across the atrium, keeping their distance from the hospital scene. Just as the two had moved past the bed, there came a raspy voice from behind the curtain. "Martha, Martha, where are you?" Each word punctuated by a pained heave of breath, like air was being forced into someone. Martha froze and stared back at the curtain. Alex grabbed her arm, trying to pull her along. "Martha," no dash, but something in Martha's eyes showed a tiredness that is only built through years of regret and grief. She shrugged Alex's hand off her. "Gerald? I'm Dash. I'm sorry." Martha moved toward the curtain. Alex panicked. "Martha, Martha, no. There's nothing for you in there," she hissed. She had no way of knowing for sure, but something in her told her that Martha was making a mistake. The slow sound of music wafted through the air, followed by the sound of animal nails on tile. Click, click, click. Martha turned to Alex and sighed with a simple, broken smile. "Ain't much out there for me anymore either." Martha grabbed the curtain and began to pull it away to reveal what's inside. Alex ran. She ran across the atrium, only stopping at the start of the hallway to look back. There was Martha, smiling stupidly, warmly at whatever was in that hospital bed, tears streaming down her face. The ambience of the music grew, and there it was, the beast with the statue head, hunched, facing Martha. It closed the gap quickly, skittering across the atrium with ferocity, muscles taut, yet face unchanged. Alex flinched when this beast dug its nails into Martha. From afar, Alex could hear one gasp from Martha before she saw her body go stiff in the beast's arms. It held her like this for a moment before he dropped Martha as she clattered to the floor. Clattered, the sound of plastic hitting tile. Alex could only stare on in horror as the thing that was once Martha, now some storefront mannequin, sat lifelessly on the floor. Faceless, frozen. Frantically, Alex sprinted down the corridor away from the scene, knowing she'd be next. Her eyes darted all around for a place to hide, but the emptied stores provided no cover, and the shuttered ones provided no way in. It felt hopeless. Each turn down a corridor met with another stretch of a dead mall, the noise behind her increasing in volume. The music continued to drift all around her, the echoing sound of claws clearly at a galloping gait. Click clunk, click clunk, click clunk. Tired, she forced her legs to move, despite no energy left. Her chest was in pain, tears formed at the corners of her eyes, and she shut them hard, to focus all of her energy into moving forward. It was right behind her. She could hear it, the relentless noise of muscle and claws scratching against the tiled flooring. Something made contact with the back of her shirt. "No, please," she screamed, throwing herself forward. She ran into something soft. "God, Jesus lady, watch where you're running. Goddamned mall walkers." A man sprawled onto the floor next to Alex, his phone skidding across the floor. Alex quickly looked around, panicked, and found herself in front of the vitamin shop, the windowed exit doors of the mall sitting a few feet away, like a lighthouse at the end of endless ocean. Alex barely mumbled an apology as she scrambled to the exit. Her breathing shuddered as she took in the warm air from stepping outside. She could barely think straight on the way home, using muscle memory just to get back. She stepped into her home, barely keeping herself together. Shakily, she headed into the bathroom to splash water on her face, take a hot shower. She wasn't sure. In the mirror, she inspected herself, trying to make sense of just how much of what she went through was real. Glancing at the back of her shirt, she took it off and immediately dropped it on the floor with a squeak of horror when she noticed the large, claw-shaped tears across the back. She crumpled to the floor of the bathroom and sobbed. Through her tears, she noticed something glimmering on the tile as her tears fell. The penny. She picked it up and clutched it to her chest desperately, her wails of fear and relief amplified by the small bathroom space. Thank you for diving into my world, the second story we will talk about, a strange, unsettling place where grief isn't just felt but consumed. This story begins with an accidental discovery at my aunt's funeral, where I unknowingly took on my cousin's sorrow through her mother's wedding ring. What followed was a 5-year journey of turning that accident into a secretive business, devouring the pain of others for a price, only to find myself haunted by the voices of the grief I'd swallowed. I call them the chorus. This isn't just a tale of supernatural oddity. It's about confronting the terror of losing control, the weight of unprocessed pain, and the realization that grief is love with nowhere to go. From being trapped in my own body, a passenger to the chorus's whims, to fighting back with my own buried sorrow, this story explores the cost of running from our emotions and the power of facing them head-on. Expect a raw, emotional ride filled with moments of horror, introspection, and ultimately, healing. Whether you're here for the eerie premise or the human struggle beneath it, I hope my journey resonates with you. Let's explore what it means to carry the weight of others' pain and to finally learn to carry our own. The first time I ate someone's grief, it was an accident. My aunt had just died, and my cousin couldn't stop crying at the funeral. She clutched her mother's wedding ring so tight her knuckles grew white. When she hugged me, she pressed the ring into my palm. "I can't look at it anymore," she said. "Just take it away." I slipped it into my pocket, and something strange happened on the drive home. A warm sensation spread through my gut, like I'd swallowed a shot of good whiskey. By the time I parked in my driveway, I felt freaking amazing, light, almost euphoric. Meanwhile, my cousin called to thank me. She'd finally slept through the night. "It's like a weight lifted," she said. I didn't make the connection until 2 weeks later. I was stress eating a gas station cherry cupcake, the kind with that nuclear red icing that stains everything it touches. The ring remained in my pocket, and when I pulled it out to look at it, some of that sticky icing smeared across the metal. Without thinking, I licked it clean, and when the ring touched my tongue, it dissolved, melting like cotton candy while that same warmth flooded my system, only stronger this time. Much stronger. That's when I understood what had happened. Somehow, I ate her grief. 5 years passed, and I turned it into a business. Not officially, of course. You can't exactly put grief eater on a business card, but word spread among the desperate. The process was simple. Bring me something that connects you to your dead loved one, something that holds your pain. I consume it, and your grief disappears. I charged based on the intensity. 1,000 for a parent, 500 for a sibling, 250 for a grandparent. Pets were a flat 100. The pricing wasn't based on science, but on how much the grief would screw me up afterwards. But I didn't tell my clients what happened to their grief afterward. It didn't disappear. It lived inside me. I'd consumed the emotional trauma of 78 dead loved ones, and each one had left something behind, a whisper, an itch, a memory that wasn't mine. I called them the chorus. Most days I could handle them. They were just background noise, the mental equivalent of a TV left on in another room. But lately, they'd been getting louder, more demanding. The whispers had become conversations. Conversations had escalated into arguments. Please had replaced the arguments. Let us out. Let us see them. We miss them. I ignored them and kept eating. The warmth that followed consuming grief had become addictive, better than any drug I tried. And I tried plenty. The business was just an excuse to keep feeling that rush. Ever since I was a kid, I'd had the same recurring nightmare, being trapped inside my body, conscious but unable to move or speak, while something else controlled me from within. I'd wake up screaming, drenched in sweat, grateful to be back in control. As I got older, the nightmares became less frequent, but more intense. The idea of being reduced to a passenger in my own flesh terrified me more than death itself. I'd rather cease to exist than exist as a prisoner inside my body. I never connected these nightmares to my new profession, never saw the warning signs, until it was too late. On a rainy Tuesday, a woman brought me her brother's baseball cap. He'd killed himself 3 months ago, and she hadn't slept well since. She passed me the cap with trembling hands. "Will it hurt?" she asked, her fingers still gripping the frayed edge. "Not you," I said. When she left, I locked the door and stuffed the cap into my mouth. The fabric dissolved against my tongue, releasing a bitter wave of sorrow that made my eyes water. I chewed faster. The sooner I got it down, the sooner the pain transformed into that familiar warmth. Except this time, something different happened. As the last threads disappeared down my throat, I heard a man's voice clear as day say, "Finally." And then my hands weren't my hands anymore. I tried to move them, but they stayed flat on the desk. I tried to stand, but my legs ignored me. My breathing sped up, but I wasn't the one speeding it up. "You've been so selfish," the voice said, "keeping us all in here, not letting us reach them." I tried to respond, but my mouth wouldn't open. Panic crawled up my spine as I realized what was happening. I was still here, still conscious, but I wasn't in control anymore. I was a passenger in my own body. My lifelong nightmare was unfolding in real time. The terror I'd woken from 100 times was now my waking reality. "It's our turn now," another voice in my head said. A woman's voice, elderly, unfamiliar. "You've kept us quiet long enough." The next few hours were a blur of psychological torture. My body moved without my permission. My hands opened drawers, searched through files, and found my client list. My mouth formed words that weren't mine, practicing different voices, different cadences. The chorus was figuring out how to drive. They let me surface just enough to feel the full horror of my situation. I screamed, but they pushed me back down into the darkness. The claustrophobia of being caged inside my skull was worse than any physical pain I'd ever experienced, like being buried alive but still able to watch the world through a window. By nightfall, they had a plan. I woke up on my kitchen floor, surrounded by shattered glass. The clock said 3:47 a.m. I'd lost 9 hours. My phone showed 17 missed calls from unknown numbers. There was blood under my fingernails, and my mouth tasted like copper and salt. When I tried to stand, the world tilted sideways. "What the hell?" I said, but the words felt wrong in my mouth, like my tongue had forgotten how to shape them. "We've been waiting for this," a voice that wasn't mine said. It was coming from inside my head, but it wasn't a thought. It was someone else, someone new, for someone who could hold enough of us. I stumbled to the bathroom and flipped on the light. In the mirror, my face looked wrong. My expressions weren't mine. My eyes focused and unfocused, as if someone else was controlling them. "No," I said, "this isn't happening." "Oh, but it is," the voice replied. "You've been so generous, making space for us." And now we're going to return the favor. My hand rose to my face, but I wasn't the one moving it. I tried to scream, but my lips stayed sealed. My worst nightmare had always been this: losing control, being trapped inside while someone else drove. And now it was happening. This wasn't a metaphor or an exaggeration. This was the literal manifestation of the terror that had haunted my sleep since childhood, come to life in the waking world. "Don't fight it," whispered another voice, a woman's this time. "You'll just make it worse." And suddenly, the chorus wasn't background noise anymore. They were front and center, rising like a flood, and I was drowning in them. They took my body out for a test drive, and I remained conscious for every terrible moment of it. I saw everything through my eyes, but I was just a passenger now. They used my voice to talk to each other, arguing over who got control next. "The brother should go first," said my mouth in a voice that wasn't mine. "He's the newest. He hasn't seen his sister yet." My head nodded without my permission. 15 minutes each, said another voice using my vocal cords, "until we figure out a better system." They were dividing me up like I was a timeshare property, and there was nothing I could do but watch. The suffocating horror of being reduced to an observer in your own life is impossible to describe to someone who hasn't experienced it. My body drove to the woman's house, the one who brought me her brother's cap yesterday. The chorus knew where she lived because her brother knew. They rang the doorbell. When she answered, her face transformed from confusion to terror. "Tommy," she said. "Hey, sis," my mouth said in her brother's voice. "I'm back." She backed away, shaking her head. "No, you're that person, the one who took the cap. What are you doing?" "It's complicated," my mouth said, "but I needed to see you, to tell you it wasn't your fault." They were using me like a puppet, and I couldn't even scream. Every childhood fear of possession, every adult anxiety about losing autonomy, it was all playing out in high definition. This wasn't just a nightmare. It was the nightmare that defined me. The woman was crying now. "This isn't funny. You need to leave. Remember that summer at Lake Michigan, when I pushed you off the dock and you lost your new sunglasses? I said a fish took them." Her face went pale. "Nobody knew about that." "I did. I do." My hand reached out to touch her face. "I need you to do something for me now." "What?" she whispered. "I need you to give him something else. Something with more grief in it. My journal. It's under the mattress." "No," I screamed inside my mind. "Don't listen to him." But of course, she couldn't hear me. Nobody could. I sat trapped in the passenger seat of my body, watching as they used me to collect more grief, more memories, more souls to add to the chorus. Over the next 3 days, they visited 7 of my clients. Each time, the newest member of the chorus took control to convince their loved ones to hand over more grief-soaked items. Some were suspicious, but most were so desperate to believe they were communicating with their dead that they did whatever we asked. The pattern remained the same. My body would show up unannounced. My voice would say things only the dead person could know. My hands would take whatever they offered: journals, photographs, wedding rings, even clothing. And then my mouth would consume them, adding each new voice to the chorus. With each new object I consumed against my will, the chorus grew stronger. I felt myself shrinking, compressed into a smaller and smaller corner of my mind. The nightmare was consuming me, becoming more real with each passing hour. By the 4th day, I only got control for minutes at a time, usually when they were sleeping. During these brief windows, I tried everything to fight back pain: alcohol, even smashing my head against the wall. Nothing worked. They just laughed and took back control, their voices overlapping in a discord of mockery. The only time they let me surface was when they needed me to know something. Like tonight, as my body lay on my bed, staring at the ceiling with eyes that no longer belonged to me. "We're going to the cemetery tomorrow," explained the first voice, my cousin's mother. "We've decided it's time to expand our operation." "What do you mean?" I thought at them. "Fresh grief is the sweetest," said another voice. "We're going to find those in mourning and offer our services directly." "No," I thought. "I won't let you." They laughed, a cacophony of unique tones, all using my vocal cords. You don't have a choice anymore. You're just the vessel now. And I realized they were right. I've been so focused on fighting for control that I hadn't considered the alternative. Maybe I couldn't drive anymore, but I could still crash the car. While they debated their plans, I reached deep inside myself to the place where my own grief lived. Not their grief, mine. The pain I've been running from my whole life. I found a memory of my father's death, the overdose I discovered when I was 14. My mother's suicide 2 years later. The friend who died in my apartment while I was out buying more drugs for us. All the grief I'd never processed, never acknowledged, never consumed. I pulled it up like poison from a well, and before the chorus realized what I was doing, I turned it on them. Grief is a living thing. It grows, changes, evolves, and when you feed it, it gets stronger. My grief flooded through the mental space the chorus occupied. As the grief-feeding entities touched them, they screamed entities unfamiliar with grief themselves. They'd only been the echoes, the impressions left behind. Never had they been the source. Stop, they shrieked as my grief engulfed them. You want a grief? I told them. Here it is, all you can eat. I forced every painful memory through my consciousness, every loss, every regret, every moment of despair I'd ever experienced. I'd spent my life running from these feelings, but now I embraced them. They were my weapons. The chorus splintered under the assault. Some voices faded altogether. Others fragmented into whispers. A few of the strongest pushed back, trying to regain control, but the assault weakened them. For the first time in days, I moved my hand when I wanted to. I dragged myself to the bathroom, teeth clenched against the battle still raging in my mind. In the mirror, my face was gaunt, eyes bloodshot. I looked like I'd aged a decade. But they were my eyes again, at least for now. This isn't over, hissed one of the remaining voices. We'll wait. We'll grow stronger again. No, I said aloud, my voice hoarse but my own. You won't. I opened the medicine cabinet and removed a pocket knife, the one my grandfather gave me before he died. The one object I'd never consumed despite its grief potential, because it was too precious. I put it in my mouth. Cold metal touched my tongue. I bit down, feeling it dissolve. But this time, instead of swallowing the grief, I focused on my grandfather's love. The pride in his eyes when he gave me this knife. How he taught me to whittle. Wonderful memories accompanied the pain. The knife dissolved into a burst of emotion, not just grief, but joy, love, pride, nostalgia. And I realized my mistake all these years. Grief, it's not the pain that destroys you. It's all that love suddenly homeless, pounding on your ribcage, demanding somewhere to exist. And by consuming only the pain, I've been creating these hungry ghosts, these fragments of people composed of sorrow. I opened my mouth, ready to tell them this revelation, but there was no response. The chorus had gone silent. For now, at least. The next morning, I purged my apartment of all the grief objects I collected over the years. Not by eating them, I never do that again, but by returning them to the families they belong to. Some people were angry when I showed up at their doors. Others were confused. A few even begged me to take their grief back. I couldn't. I wouldn't. Each returned object lifted a weight from me. With every tearful conversation, every awkward explanation, every apology, the voices in my head grew fainter. Not gone completely, I could still hear them sometimes, especially at night, but more like memories than invaders. I thought of them not as the people they once were, but as wounds that needed healing, both theirs and mine. For the first time in months, I slept without the old nightmare. The terror of being trapped in my own body had lost its power over me. Not because it wasn't frightening anymore, but because I'd lived through the real thing and survived. I faced my worst fear and come out the other side. I stopped taking clients, moved to a different neighborhood, and changed my phone number. But people still found me, desperate for relief from their pain. Instead of eating their grief, I listened to their stories. Sometimes that was enough. Sometimes it wasn't. But it was honest work at least. A week after my liberation, a man brought me his daughter's teddy bear. Cancer. She was 7. Can you take it away? He asked, tears streaming down his face. I can't live with this pain. I sat with him for hours as he talked about her favorite ice cream flavor, the way she insisted on wearing mismatched socks, how brave she was at the end. Before he left, I told him the truth, that grief is just love with nowhere to go, that the pain he felt was the other side of how much he loved her, that healing doesn't mean forgetting. Keep the bear, I said. She loved it, and you loved her. Let it hurt for now. Eventually, it'll hurt less, but you'll still have the love. As he walked away, clutching the bear, I felt something shift inside me. A few more voices in the chorus faded, replaced by a peaceful silence. I still don't know exactly what I am or how this strange ability works, but I know what I'm not anymore. I'm not a grief eater. I'm just someone who's learning, finally, to digest my own,